folks, welcome back to the channel. This is the first part of a two-part series where Alan from Wilderness Hangout is joining us here at Hanbleceya Ranch to talk homesteading. So, we have questions. We have lots of questions.
We have lots of questions.
Yeah, so I think what we're going to do is, we did have a kind of a discussion beforehand here. So I think what we're going to do is just kind of pick them out of the blue and ask
go
them
for
and just go for it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to go first? You
Yeah.
go first at your place.
All right. Well,
Because I know we got kind of the same questions here.
yeah. Okay, so I think this one applies to both of us. So Robert Rambo asks, where in Maine are you? So Jen and I, we are just outside of Holton in Aroostook County. So, and yeah, on the U.S.-Canadian border.
Yeah, right there. A couple 100 yards.
That's right. That's right. And we didn't actually choose this place. We didn't know where we wanted to go when we came to Maine.
And neither did I.
Yeah.
I had no clue. That property that I have, and I'm outside of Holton in the other direction. I kind of keep my location private. There is some people out there that know, but that's the way I do it. I don't want people knocking on my door.
Yep.
Yeah.
If y'all want to stop by, just send me an email or something, and we'll go from there. But yeah, my dad actually found a piece of property that.
Did he?
Yeah, when I was hiking on the Appalachian Trail in 2021, he found a property.
Nice.
And I said, you need to look at this. And I was like, I can't pass it up.
And it's a nice piece
I like
of
it.
property. For
I
sure.
like it. And it's not as remote as yours.
Yeah.
But I am remote. I am.
Yeah. All right. What else you got? You're next.
Okay. This one is from Pam Boone.
Pam. Hi, Pam.
Thanks for following along, Pam. I appreciate it. And with everybody else, we appreciate this.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's asking about the workshop that I'm insulating, and she asked if it housed horses and why it wasn't insulated. It did house horses from the information that I've gathered from people in the area, and there's evidence of horses there.
On the property or in the barn?
In the barn. You can
In
see
the
where they're
barn?
chewing on the wood.
Oh, okay.
So it housed horses. There's some horse magazines that were left there. Why they didn't insulate it? I think the horses up here are used to the cold.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in a big Amish area. I pass horses up in buggies every day going down the road.
Yeah.
These horses are used to the weather up here. And it's...
I think most of the animals are. I mean,
Yeah.
They, throw some hay, some straw out there.
Even the wild animals. I got no idea how deer walk around when it's
Oh.
below zero. But yes, that's I'm insulating it because I got to do a lot of work in there this winter, and it's
your shop.
Yeah,
You're turning it in your workshop.
It's my workshop.
Yeah.
So, building came with a property. Why not use it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't have that situation. We had to build everything.
Yeah.
We had
And you
one
did a
building.
great job.
Yeah, well,
I like it here.
It's a work in progress for sure. Yeah.
And that's with mine. Mine's going to be. I'll be looking at insulation for another 2 years probably, and I'm fine with that.
Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's one of the unfortunate realities is that there's so many projects, and I know you've run into this as well. You get done with a project like insulating your shop. Now the siding it and all that other stuff and siding the house. Well, now you have your working shop. Now you have other projects you need to get done. So now you start working on those, and before you know it, months have passed.
Yep.
You're still looking at insulation.
Yeah, right.
And it's like,
yeah.
It's a constant.
Well, that and the cost of
prices.
everything. I mean, everything's gone up a lot higher than we anticipated.
Same
we
here.
originally, we had everything planned out.
We did. We had everything planned. I mean, before we came out here, I had a budget plan. We knew exactly how much money was allocated for what project, and then when we got out here, it was like that went right out the window.
Oh, so did mine.
Yeah,
they're crazy. The lumber prices.
Oh yeah, just
insane.
This cabin, both of these cabins were supposed to have tongue and groove, very similar to what you would find on the outside of these cabins. But unfortunately, the price went up like 300%.
Yeah.
So when we went to the builder and said, well, wait a minute, you quoted me this. And they said, well, I don't know what to tell you. It's like, okay, well, now we have flooring.
Yeah, and it looks great.
Yeah. I mean, and it's kind of worked out for us. So cool.
All right, your turn.
All right, Jen, we're going to throw a question to you, babe.
All right.
All right, Pam, this is yours again. So, Jen, do you ever just take a break and do something fun in town? Do you have hobbies?
I do. I do photography. I love taking pictures of nature, and so all the pictures that you see, I do. I also go and attend classes and stuff at a local church once a month. Yeah. Have some neighbors that I go places with and do things. In the fall time, I went and I took some time myself and grabbed a camera and went down to East Grand Lake and got some pictures.
Beautiful pictures. Which, by the way, you can see all of our pictures on Facebook, Instagram, and
Patreon.
On our Patreon. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, all those.
What about you? What do you have ever take a break from your work?
I am now.
Yeah. So during your break, you do videos?
I haven't put a video out since I think Thursday, maybe Wednesday, and that was just a real short one, saying, "Look, I need a break, taking a few days off." Yeah. And you spend all day in the workshop looking at 4 walls. Then you go in and edit a video at night for 3 or 4 hours. You're looking at more walls. I just needed to get out, and I spent the last 3 days walking around on my property.
That's awesome.
That's all I've been doing.
That's awesome. Do you have any hobbies?
I like to fish. I fly my drone whenever I can. During the wintertime, it's a little difficult because your hands are out in the cold. But, I like tinkering with stuff. I like building stuff. I totally love building my cabin. Yeah. I had a blast doing it. It was tough. It's tough.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, as for me, as far as, taking a break, we decided to do this lifestyle because this to me is the fun part. Yeah. This getting away from the city, getting away from all the rat race and the nonsense and coming out to the woods. Yeah, the days are long in the summer. The winter days are cold and short, but that to me is what makes this so much fun, in my opinion. Yeah.
And the people up here I have yet to meet a rude or obnoxious person. Everywhere I go, it doesn't matter where I go.
Yeah,
everybody
people are
friendly,
amazing.
helpful,
and there's no traffic.
There's no traffic. Even during what we would consider rush hour, there's no rush. There's everything is kind of slowed down, and you're right. I mean, everybody has been so nice that we've met. Yeah. Now every area has their bad apples, but we haven't seen any, and we haven't had that experience yet. So you had made a comment about YouTube and taking a break, of videoing and so forth. Jen and I, we've done that, and if it's no surprise that I do, the majority of the filming, I do majority of all the editing as well, and there's a big reason for that, and so I think that kind of leads into another question that someone had asked, why aren't you in front of the, more videos?
This isn't my party of sitting in front of the camera. I'm usually behind the camera taking the pictures and stuff like that. I'm not very comfortable in front of the camera.
Yeah, and that brings up a good, at least for for our dynamic, right? And that is, I don't mind being in front of the camera. I don't mind making a fool of myself at times. I don't mind saying the wrong things at times and doing it in front of a camera. I think if I was not that way, I don't think we'd have a YouTube channel. She, as much as she is a part of this, she's just not in front of the camera. And for us, homesteading is not YouTube, right?
No.
I mean,
No.
and that's another thing. It's
No.
like, people watch these YouTube and they're like, oh, that's the homesteading. Well, but that's not. That's what we as content creators decide you as the viewers get to see.
Yeah.
You don't get to see everything. You're not with us 24 hours a day. This is
I'll shoot. On an average day, I'll shoot 3 hours of video.
Yeah.
And then I got to sit down and edit it all out.
Yeah.
And it just takes a lot of time. And recently got a new computer.
Good.
So I got that issue. I haven't really had a chance to use it yet because I haven't made a video.
Yeah.
Because you're on a break.
Yeah, I'm on
You're on
a
a break.
So that was a big part. I had some serious issues going on with that computer.
Mhm.
You seen it, and it
Yeah.
would just constantly lock up. And my operating system was the bare minimums
Mhm.
for my editing system, and other stuff running in the background. It would go nuts, and finally I was done with it. So,
Yeah.
but my videos are coming back out. I put one out almost every day.
Oh, yeah. Which is amazing to me because I couldn't handle that. I could not handle putting a video out every day. It's a lot. And like you said, you spend a project that might take a few hours, you end up spending half a day on or even more with the videoing.
Yeah, moving
And
the
that-
camera
moving
around.
the camera,
Yeah.
trying to get the right angle, and then when that's all done, then you get to take it all back, tear it all apart,
And
in
piece
your
it together.
computer, and then piece it all together to create, a 15, 20, 30-minute video.
Yep.
I mean, it takes time, and it's time
People don't
consuming.
realize it.
No.
Now, one
No.
of these days, I might just do a totally unedited video
From start to
from
finish.
start to finish.
Oh boy.
And
That's going to be a long video.
well, it'll be
That's gonna be a long
short.
video.
It'll be a short project.
Okay.
It'll be a project out, but I might
Yeah.
do that. I don't know.
Oh,
It's
that's
just-
funny.
I actually enjoy editing.
It's not bad. It's
Once you
not
get the
bad.
hang of it, things
Yeah.
go real quick.
when we
Yeah.
first got out here, I was doing the editing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But he had an idea of what he wanted his video to look like. So I'd go in looking at it from my perspective and say, okay, well, this is what we need to do. And then after I did all this hours of editing, he'd come back and he'd go, oh, wait, we got to do this and this and this. And I finally threw my hands up and I said, that's it.
Yep.
You're doing it.
Yeah.
Because you have a vision of what you want. And I don't see that.
Right.
So
Exactly.
you need to do this before, because I'm just going to go crazy.
And there's times I've even had viewers in the past say, we see a lot of your back.
Yeah.
There's just no place to set a camera up where I'm working
Right.
to get a good shot.
Right.
So it is not easy filming yourself.
No.
It's not. And
No, it's not.
and I don't do a lot of talking in my videos anymore. I just do the good morning thing and see you bye.
Yeah. I love that.
That's what it is. That's what I'm trying to get to is because I can edit a lot quicker that way.
Yeah.
I can go through my timeline and go, okay, I didn't say a word from here to here. Let's go pick out spots of it.
Yeah.
I don't want to pick out a spot in the middle of a sentence.
Right.
So
right.
that's just why I keep quiet.
Right.
All
All
right.
right. What else we got?
All right. This is actually kind of a good one. This is going to pertain to you more than it would me.
Okay. Let's
Um,
do it. I'm ready.
She asked if we're concerned about hunters and trespassers on our property.
Great question.
Yes.
We are absolutely concerned about hunters and trespassers. And you're right. I mean, for us, we live on the border. The half, we have a rectangular piece of property, and one side is the U.S.-Canadian border. And so we don't really much have to worry about that so much because we do have the Border Patrol who monitor that. But as far as hunters are concerned, primarily hunters, because we are so far back that if someone's going to come out here to trespass, there's lower there's lower fruit on the tree, outside of where we are. So they'd really want to have something specific that we have to come out here
Mm-hmm.
because we are so far off the beaten path.
Yeah.
If they're looking to steal stuff or whatnot, there's low hanging fruit much closer to town.
Right. Yeah.
So they're not going to come all the way out here. But from the hunting standpoint, so here's the way I look at it. First of all, Maine has the most private, I think it's woodlands or woods,
Right.
in the U.S. or something like that. And so there's not a lot of public land. So all of the hunting that takes place here in Maine takes place all on private land. And the majority of landowners allow people to cross their property with no issues. As new landowners, it's important for us to be able to manage our piece of property effectively. And the only way for us to do that is to put a tight grip on the property.
Right. Yeah.
And so, if you ask me the same question in 10 years, my attitude towards it might be different. But right now, we don't want hunters on the property. And that's hard because before we bought this property was hunted. A lot of hunters came to this property. And so when we bought it, they did come and ask us.
And you have how many acres?
We have just under 60 acres.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's been one of those situations where we understand that as landowners, you need properties, you need land to hunt, right? But at the same time, as new landowners, we also have a responsibility to this piece of property. And in order for us to manage it effectively, we need to manage it. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to put a stranglehold on it and keep people off of it until such time we feel more comfortable with the land.
Yeah.
So
I'm not too concerned with where I'm at with trespassers because there's only like 4 people that live on my road. And I live at the end of the road.
Yep.
And I know all of them. And I have not had anybody just out of the blue show up.
Right.
Nobody's done that. I've walked back on my property in the wintertime. I don't see any other human footprints. And as far as hunting, the guy who owns a property that touches my south property line, he's got 100 and some acres. He stopped by, introduced himself right before Thanksgiving, I think it was. It might have been the end of October. And said, hey, look, I don't know where the property line is. I hunt my property.
Yeah.
If I get on your property by mistake, I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. And I've had 3 people ask me if they can hunt on my property. I'm like, I don't care. Knock yourself. Next year's going to be different because I want it.
Right. And then that brings up a good point.
Yeah.
That's another thing. It's like we want to hunt our property, right? And we do want to be able to hunt it. And so call it selfish, but if we keep the other hunters off and we let the land relax a little bit, right? Come hunting season, those animals that we want to hunt won't feel pressured,
right?
And pressed on our piece of property. So,
I mean, I know you have. I haven't seen a moose yet. I do have moose on my property. I picked them up on the trail cams, but I have deer within 15 feet of the house.
Yeah,
they come up and eat the apples, and I hate them apple trees. But it brings a deer in. So, but yeah, I'm not too concerned with it, and that goes back to what I said about everybody is super nice here.
Yeah.
3 people came up and asked, if
cool.
I wandered on your property, are you going to throw me in jail? From what I understand in this state, you have to put a no trespassing sign up or you have to blaze the trees purple.
Yep.
Or purple paint.
Yep.
That is any other piece of property you can go on and hunt.
Yep.
Unless you are physically told by the landowner, no, you cannot do it.
Right.
But, the hunting season up here is real short.
Oh, yeah.
The deer season is real short.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what happens, but I'm not concerned with it.
Yeah.
I got security cameras up, 360 on my property. I know who comes and goes.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's another thing. That brings up another good point, security. I mean, Jen and I know what's happening on this property at all times, whether we're here or not.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, and you'll never get to see a video about our security system, but we have one. And I think you have to, especially the way where we live and how we live.
Yes.
I mean,
it's not like we have the police department right down the road.
Exactly.
Right. And that's another thing. Yeah.
It's not like if you're not here and I'm here by myself and I have somebody come up I'd be like,
cops will be here in an hour.
I'll call 911 and I'll see you in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Could you hold off a minute?
Yeah.
All right. So this one is from Pam.
Yep. Pam again. Oh.
Pam and her questions.
Yeah.
I tell you got a lot
That
of
is
them.
good.
That is good.
I like that they're asking questions.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Pam, Jason, Pam wants to know.
All right, Pam, what do you want to know here?
You say this will do until spring or summer.
I can hit on that also.
Yeah.
Why don't you just fix them right the first time instead of having to come back and tear it down or move it or start over or
whatever?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a great question, Pam, and I appreciate the fact that you asked it. So there's a couple of reasons that happens, right? It's never planned that way, but unfortunately, there's the reality of building materials, the cost of building materials, the time of the year it is, the sometimes I have to build something temporarily so I can do something else. Right. And once I can get that project done, but I can't do that project until I have something to do, somewhere to put so that project. Yeah, it's like, it's not like I'd love to build a big barn, right? And that is the plan. Our plan is to build a massive, not a barn, I'm sorry, but a big garage, right? And when we build that big garage, we'll have all the tool shop in there and all that stuff. Well, unfortunately, we don't have the means for that yet. And so in lieu of that, I build extensions off the current shed, right? I turn the shed to a workshop.
It works great.
And it works great.
Yeah.
You know, next summer I plan to build another extension on that. All of those things will be a moot point once I build the garage. But I can't build the garage because there are other things that need to take place before that can happen. There are certain buildings, you know, that we just have to build just temporarily until I can do or get something that I can do permanently.
Exactly. And right? I ran into that same problem.
Yeah.
When I first got here back in May, there was a temporary electrical service on the barn.
Mm-hmm.
And I've since moved the barn.
Yeah.
What I wanted to do was build a new electrical service, get that taken off the barn, get the new one hooked up so I have electricity.
Yeah.
And then get the barn moved. Well, I couldn't move the barn until electric was off of it. I couldn't get the electric off it until the new one was built. And it took like 3 months to get all that done because you're waiting on this person. You're waiting on that person.
Yeah.
Everything takes time. And even in my videos, I'll be building something, say, this is just temporary.
Yep.
This is temporary. This is just, my goal was to be dried in a livable cabin before freezing temperatures. That's why they were in September, it was crunch time.
Yeah.
I was throwing insulation in September. And I'm like, I'm surprised. And this, from what I understand, this has been a very mild winter.
Very mild winter.
Well, and that is what I was just going to say is because we've only been here a short time and you even shorter.
Right.
There's a lot of times we do things that we think are going to be permanent.
Yeah.
But they aren't permanent because then you realize, well, it's a lot colder here than we anticipated, or the winds are a lot stronger than we anticipated.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things. I mean, for instance, the solar. We had the solar, the whole setup in the cabin.
That is actually a great example of what Pam's asking about, right?
Yeah.
So our plan was to put the controller and the inverter and even the batteries in the cabin. Well, then we scrapped that because we realized the batteries were too big or they were too heavy. So then I built a little shelter outside the cabin and said, oh, this is going to work great. Thinking that it was going to work great, only to find out last winter I couldn't maintain the batteries. I couldn't get access to them. It got cold.
Yeah.
I had to run a generator all winter last year just to keep them warm. It was an absolute disaster. And on top of that, when winter started, the panels that we had, there was nothing behind the panels. So now all of a sudden we're getting 30, 40 mile an hour winds, and we're like, oh my goodness.
The panels are doing this.
Yeah, we have to protect the panels. So then we said, okay, well, for right now, temporarily, we backed up my trailer. We took slab wood and slapped it up, leaned it against it, duct taped it all together, built this impromptu fence with slab wood along our fence line just to protect the panels.
Yeah. That's your lifeline.
It was my lifeline, yeah. And so then it became during the winter time, we're like, well, we can't keep that. So what are we going to do? So then we decided to build the GPS and then build the windbreak wall.
Yeah.
And then we ended up moving the inverter and the charge controller and all the batteries into that building. It's propane heated now and it's temperature controlled, and it's
And you have access to them.
and I have access to it.
Yeah, it's a nice
You
shed.
know.
I like it.
I
Yeah.
mean, but I mean, it's just stuff like that, and I'm sure you're going to run across stuff
Oh,
as it
yeah.
goes along, because it has been a mild winter so
Yeah.
far. But I mean, we knew it got cold. We knew there was a lot of snow. We knew, these things.
Yeah.
But until you're in the thick of it,
Yeah, knowing it and living it are
It's
two
two
totally different things.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's
This ain't easy. I'm gonna tell you
No.
right now. This
no.
no.
they're 100% off grid, and I'm not. I have electric, and
Yep.
it was only because my dad stumbled on this piece of property that I could not
Mhm.
pass up. So my goal was to be 100% off grid.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a solar system all calculated. Of course, my cabin would have been a lot smaller, but I just couldn't pass up the piece of property that I
Oh
bought.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
With everything that was on it, there's no way.
Well, then it
Yeah.
had a foundation and everything for you to just work
build
on.
a cabin
Yeah.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got a question here. I got to find it. I just seen it, and it's from. I got to figure out who it's from first. Where'd it go? Okay, I'll do something until I find it.
Yeah.
Should we do a little dance?
Okay, nope, I got it right
Oh, look, now we were just going to do a dance.
here. Yeah. Well, this goes back to Pam. Pam asked a lot of questions.
Pam did ask a lot of questions.
But a lot of good ones.
Yes. She asked me if I'm eventually going to build a garage attached to my cabin. That was the original goal. My original goal was to build my cabin,
Yeah.
and next year just extend it out for a garage. The problem I ran into is my well
Oh,
like
where your
20
well
feet
is.
away from the house.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then plus I got my tower there for my Starlink and all that other junk. So
And you can't go the other way.
I'm switching it up.
Yeah.
I'm going to build a garage. Probably won't be this next summer.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the prices of lumber to come down. But I am going to build a detached garage. I'm going to kick it on a little bit of an angle.
Yeah.
And it'll be in front of the barn that I have now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually going to move my driveway. So it just goes straight out.
Yeah.
Instead of coming in and going across the front yard and up.
Yeah.
But that's all works down the road. Yes, I'm going to build a garage. When I first designed the house, I didn't have a window on that wall because I was going to have a garage.
Oh yeah.
And then when my dad was up and my sister were framing, I'm like, we need to go get a window because I'm not going to build a garage now, and I got to have a window in this wall, so I got to look good. So, but yes, the garage will be coming. I don't know when. My list of stuff that I have to do just gets longer every day.
It's crazy because you're like, oh, I can get all this done this summer.
That don't work.
And then you think, okay, well, this is going to take like 2 weeks. No, that takes 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And then it keeps, and then, so then the things that you haven't gotten completed get bumped to the next summer.
That's right.
Because you can't do much in the winter.
Right. Yeah. We have a short summer up here.
Yeah. All right.
The weird thing about the summers up here, and I noticed this when I hiked the Appalachian Trail. When I got to Maine, at 4:45 in the morning, it's just like this. That's how bright it is at 4:40. You're what? 200 yards from the time zone?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
If we don't lock our phones,
our phone will change.
It'll
really.
We're in Canada time. It was crazy because when we first got here, we were going by our phones, and I'm like, oh my god, it's so late, because of the time. Oh wow. And then
we'd lose an hour, like
all of a sudden it's just gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where did that hour go? And so we got a regular clock, battery operated, put up on the wall, and realized that our phones were changing.
Yeah, that was before the Starlink.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The summer days up here, it's daylight where you can actually be outside walking around on a flashlight from at least 5 in the morning until 9 at night.
Oh yeah.
We're so far north.
Yep.
And when that earth tips, it's like Alaska.
Yep.
We just took a little break. We needed to take a break.
Yep.
Yeah.
Need one every once in a while.
Oh yeah, you do.
All right. I have a question from Campers Adventures, and it's for you, Alan. They state the location of your generator shed. Why is it in between the house and the barn? Is this just a temporary location for your first winter? And if so, will you eventually put a generator by your back basement location to easily hook into your main panel?
Great questions.
Yeah. Well, see, first of all, let me tell you about Camper.
All right.
He threw a hike to Appalachian Trail in 2020.
Nice.
So,
Congratulations.
Yep.
Nice.
I know him. He lives about 15 miles from my parents.
Nice.
So when I go visit my parents, me and him grab a beer and a pizza.
Oh,
Nice.
awesome.
And I'm hoping this summer he comes up here in August because we want to do trail magic in the 100-mile wilderness for the hikers.
Oh, boy.
So if y'all don't know what trail magic is, y'all go YouTube it. You'll see it.
All right,
So the generator.
I gotta go YouTube it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the generator, yeah, it is a temporary location. And the reason it's there is because that is all the longer my extension cord is that's big enough to run what I need to run. That's why I put it there. I'm hoping when the prices of lumber and wire and everything else come down, I can get some number 8 and run it from the electrical panel in the basement out to the barn, then put the generator in the woodshed.
Oh, nice.
And then it's away. I don't have to hear it. I haven't had to use it yet. And there's a few other things I'm going to do along with that also. But yes, that's a temporary location. The reason it's there is because right below the door that goes into the cabin, that's where my electrical panel is. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, and that's actually, you know, brings up a good point. I mean, a lot of the things that we do, you know, on the homestead is out of necessity of location.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's a number of things that are on our place that we've done just because of ease of use of where it is. Right. And same thing in your situation.
And you have a lot more open area than I do.
Yeah.
Probably 4 or 5 times as much.
Yeah.
So
that's at least cleared.
Yeah.
You know, ready to be worked or ready to be, you know, managed. So
of course we're filling that open area quite nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so a question for all of us. So this question is from Tina. Hi, Tina. Are we looking to be self-sustaining or just living off-grid? And why have we not gotten chickens? You want to go first on this one?
Sure. I don't think I'll ever be self-sustaining. I don't plan on getting a cow for milk, for meat. I still need a grocery store. But I do want to get a garden going.
Yeah.
I'll grow the vegetables I like. I do want to get chickens, but I'm only going to get probably 2 or 3 because it's just me.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't
What are you
really
going to do with all the other eggs?
I don't have a lot of neighbors to give them to. So,
Right.
You know, that's something that if you look at my shed, when I talk about the disaster room, that's where my chicken coop's going. It's going to take half of that, and then I'll build a chicken one for them.
Nice.
And, you know, 2, 3 birds is more than enough.
Oh,
for me.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. And I don't plan on raising, I'm not a big chicken meat fan,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't want to raise any meat birds.
Sure.
But they're super easy to raise.
Yeah, yeah.
They are. But yeah, as far as self-sustaining, not going to happen for me.
Yeah.
If I had, you know, a wife and 5 kids, then I probably would look at that avenue, but it's just me. So,
Yeah.
you know, I go get a cow, raise a cow. I got meat for 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the off-grid thing was my original goal was to be like y'all are 100% off-grid. I just couldn't pass up what I had.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
No.
I got a steal on that place.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. So as far as we are concerned, I think it's kind of a hybrid like you. I mean, the idea of coming out here had more to do with getting away from what we were doing and wanting to live a simpler lifestyle that was more self-sustaining than what we could ever have done where we were in Illinois.
Yep.
We will never be fully self-sustaining. We'll always need to go to the grocery store and buy something. But I think for the long goal for us is to do as much as we can self-sustaining.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's a lot of the goal. I mean, there are certain things you just have to buy from the store. You just can't do without.
Right.
Now, there are some folks who take this lifestyle to another level and become more primitive. But as far as homesteading, raising our own food, albeit meat or gardens, we can only do so much of that.
Right.
Yep.
Before you have to start taking into consideration of the stuff that you can buy in a store. So I think from us, from our perspective, this was all about getting away from the city, away from the rat race, slowing things down, and then being as self-sustaining as we possibly could.
Yeah, that's my goal also is, I came from Central Florida, and it would take you an hour to drive 15 miles.
Oh, yeah.
The traffic was just horrendous.
Oh, yeah.
And then the summer heat and humidity, back when I was a fireman, it didn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I retired, I'm like, it's 7:30. I'm outside in August. I'm sweating already. Holy crap, But so, it was. I won't say it was a culture shock because I've been here before.
Yeah.
I've been to this area before. My dad's best friend's got a cabin on a lake, probably 5 miles from me. So, we've been up here before, but this state, there's just so much to do.
There is.
It's incredible. Yeah. On the other side of my road is what starts the south side of the North Maine Woods.
Yeah.
And that goes all the way north to the Canadian border.
Yeah.
And you guys are east of me to the Canadian border. So, I mean, you're looking at 75 miles of nothing but wilderness.
Yeah. 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 And that was a lot of the appeal for coming here, too, was having all of these woods here. So.
Yeah.
As far as chickens are concerned with us, so I'm really glad you asked this question because we are going to have chickens for eggs. Yep. That is a no-brainer for us. We're also going to do meat chickens. We're also going to have turkeys. We're also going to have ducks. But here's why we don't have those yet. We didn't buy an established homestead. We bought a bare piece of property with no power, no water, nothing. And so for us, in order for us to thrive, at least in our world and in the way that we looked at this was more about building infrastructure.
Right.
Getting all of the systems in place so when the time comes, we'll be prepared to properly raise the chickens, properly have a proper coop, have a proper area where we could raise our meat birds, have a proper area for the turkeys and the ducks and all of the responsibilities that come with that. We could have easily thrown something together, but we would have been doing a disservice to the birds.
Right.
And we don't want to do that. The pig is different. And the reason the pig was different, the pig is easy. It needs someplace to stay dry and it needs a little yard, and that's it. And for us, I mean, we could do that.
You don't have to put the structure together to protect the pigs,
right?
As you do the chickens,
right,
and any other kind of birds.
Right.
We want to do goats too.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is we're going to expand. We're going to do goats. We're going to, eventually we may or may not have a cow at some point. I don't know.
No.
No. But ultimately, ultimately for me, the end game for me in this whole journey is to have horses on the property, and not to have a lot of horses, but to have a horse. I've always been fascinated by it, and so when our homestead is to the point where we can not only afford but can also responsibly own a horse, then we'll have a horse. And for me, that's kind of my
end game.
My end game.
Yeah, it'd be fun to ride around on a horse.
Oh yeah, go check the mail on a horse. Come on, who the hell would want to do that? So yeah, so I mean that's why so that's why we don't have chickens yet, but we will.
Yeah, it's like me. I just don't have time for them right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I probably do have time now. That's why I'm saying I'm going to get them this spring.
Yeah. And that's another thing. It's like you hear a lot of people say, especially on YouTube, you hear this a lot. Oh, it's so easy. You do this, and da. But it's not.
No.
I don't, and I don't want to call people on YouTube out on that. But the reality is it's not that easy.
No.
You can't just throw something together and boom, you got chickens and boom, you got eggs. Just like that. It doesn't work that way. I mean, it does take time. It takes commitment. It takes, supplies. It takes, there's a certain process you have to go through.
And for me, what took a lot of time was I was doing this stuff by myself. So if
Yeah.
I had a lift out there putting my board and batten up. If I dropped the nail gun, I gotta go all the way back down, take it, come back up. If I drop my spacer, all the way down, come back up. It's just, so when you do stuff like this by yourself, there's a lot of running around.
Yeah.
Run down to the basement, get this, go back. Oh, no, I need this screwdriver. Run down there. I could bring all my tools up there and start, but you always run into something when you start a project that you didn't expect to run into.
Always.
And it takes more time.
Always. Yeah, I mean, that is
I don't know how many times he said, "Oh, this is just going to take us a couple of days to get done." And then the last time he said that, I said, "Okay, you're saying a couple of days, so you're looking at about a week to a week and a half."
No matter how simple it is,
right?
It never takes the amount of time you think it is.
Yeah.
Never.
Like, I spent a week in there just putting that insulation up in the barn. And I'm like, I expect to do it in 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
It's just, first of all, you get cabin fever in there.
Yeah.
That one little teeny window. But I'm glad it's done. Because now it's hot in there.
It looks good, too.
It's hot. Yep.
Yeah. You guys up for one more?
Oh, yeah. We'll do one more.
Okay. So the next question is from Lynn York. And Lynn York wants to know, how do we like our composting toilet? And moreover, do we have bugs?
I can answer on that, too.
Oh, yeah. All right.
I can answer. I'll go first because mine's real quick.
Sure.
Experience with. So my best friend down in Florida and his family, they have a fishing cabin.
Okay.
And it's on the West Coast. Only way to get to it's by boat. I think it was built in the 40s, I think.
Oh,
it was an old ice house.
That's cool.
Where the fishing boats would come in, drop off their catch, then the smaller boats would take them to the mainland because the bigger boats couldn't get in there.
Sure.
So they had an ice house. Well, they have it now. It's a fishing cabin. The only way to get to it's by boat. And they used to have just a regular toilet that it would go down in the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the EPA got a hold of it and said, nope, you cannot do that. So they had to put one of those composting toilets in there.
Yeah.
And it works great. That one does, you throw a handful of, I think we use like wood chips.
Mm-hmm.
And give it a crank or two. Done. Never once would it stink.
Yeah.
Never.
Yep.
Yeah. So we have a Nature's Head, and honestly, it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, we started out with peat moss. We had some bugs with peat moss.
Little netty things.
Little gnats and so forth. Then we switched over to coconut coir. It's more of a pain in the butt to work with, but it's great. I mean, and we've gotten, as far as changing it, we change it about every 2 weeks, 2 weeks plus a couple of days. It's not disgusting. There's nothing gross about it. There's no smells to it.
No, the way they make them nowadays,
yeah,
it takes care of all of that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's really fascinating at how fast the waste breaks down.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go in the morning, and then by the afternoon when we go to start changing it, it's already gone. It's already mixed in, and you can't tell. The only thing in my opinion, and I think it's your opinion, but you can share yours. The only thing I don't like about it is the urine bin. I mean, the urine bin gets nasty. I'm not gonna lie. You pee into it's like 2 gallons of urine.
Yeah.
And that stinks.
Yep.
I mean, it's gross. But you rinse it out.
Now, when you say it stinks, it does not stink in the house.
Oh no, it doesn't stink in the house.
No.
In the house, you don't smell it at all. But it's when you're going to empty it or whatnot. It's just
Yeah, then it's a little.
It's 2 gallons.
But you started
of pee.
out with an outhouse, right?
So we started out with an outhouse.
Yes.
Yeah, and I do use that outhouse when I'm outside.
Oh yeah.
So when I'm outside, if I'm outside, I'll use the outhouse.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep.
Yeah. The outhouse stinks worse than our composting toilet.
Yeah, it's a hole in the ground.
It's a hole in the ground.
Me and the outhouse don't get along very well.
No.
I've had too many experiences with these big nasty spiders in there.
Yeah. Okay, so Valerie K, before we wrap up this session, because I think this will be our last bit for this session, and please stay tuned because tomorrow we are releasing the second session of this two-part series. And we're going to be answering a lot more questions that you folks have provided. And I've got some questions for you, and I got some questions for you too.
All right.
So, yeah.
And if y'all like this video, and you want to ask more questions, put them in the comments below, either on my channel or Jason and Jen's channel.
Yeah, for sure. And, we may end up doing this again. You know?
Yeah. Depending on how many questions we get.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might be a part 3.
It might be a part 3. All right. So the next set, Valerie, she asked, do homesteaders get government programs to work the land, and are homesteaders active taxpayers? Well, I'll just start this one off. As far as government programs, there are so many government programs and grants out there that it's hard for me to answer that. There's nothing that pertains to us that we have found specifically for us, but there is 101 different scenarios and 101 different grants for those scenarios. And so what I would suggest is that anybody looking for grants or looking for programs regarding homesteading, do your research.
Yeah.
Look at it for, you have to look at the federal level. You also have to look at it at the state level, and then look at it at the county level. There may or may not be. There are a ton here as well in Maine. None that we're using, that Jen and I are using.
I'm not using any.
Yeah. So so you'll just have to take a look in your own area, but they are out there. There's a ton of them. As far as the second question, are we taxpayers? If you live in the United States, you're paying taxes.
That's right.
That's yes. We all pay taxes. We do have a benefit here in Maine, and as I think Florida has it as well. So we have what is called as a homesteading exemption here in the state of Maine, and I don't know I think the value is between $20,000 and $25,000. Basically, if you've been if you own a home here in the state of Maine and you've been in that home for 12 months, you are eligible to apply, and you'll be approved for this exemption. And so what that means is, let's assume, for the sake of this discussion, you own a piece of property that's $100,000. Well, you're going to be taxed on that $100,000 property and that assessment. The Homestead Exemption Act will allow you to knock off, and for the sake of this, we'll call it $25,000, knock off $25,000 of that assessment. So when the tax man comes, because again, we all pay taxes.
When
the tax man comes, they're only going to tax on that $75,000 assessed on that piece of property. Yeah. So there is a very big benefit, that's anybody here in the state of Maine, not just homesteaders, but anybody who owns a home here in Maine can apply for. So
yeah, I know Florida has it, and I know it's $25,000 because I had it when I owned a house in Florida.
Nice.
And I think a majority of the states have it.
Well, I can tell you, Illinois don't have it.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think that'll do it. I know if you've been hearing some chirping in the background, those are the dogs. They are outside, so we're going to bring them in. And, yeah.
I had a blast.
I did too. This was awesome.
Yeah.
It was.
I got a feeling you're going to be a part 3.
I think
more questions are going to come up. And, especially on your end, because you got like 3 times the viewers I do. So.
Well, we've been doing this for a little bit longer.
Yeah. And, but yeah, thanks for following along. Thanks for subscribing.
Yep. So please please subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to either one of our channels, please do so. And we'll see you guys on the next video.
See you, bye.
That's freaking awesome.